Well, good morning. I'm here today with Brian Storm from Storm Aerial Applications, and we're going to be flying on winter rye cover crops on my production acres. I have just under 60 acres of standing corn right now, and then about a 2-acre food plot back there that Brian's going to help me with, and he's going to fly on winter rye. And what I'm asking him to do for me is 50 pounds per acre winter rye, and then he's also going to double over some of my edges and some of my spots that I have problems with weed control. So Brian, you think that's something we can handle today?
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. The good thing about this T40 drone that I have is that I can adjust the application rates to, if you want 50 pounds an acre, 60 pounds, 70 pounds, I can put that on exactly the way you want it. The other thing that we can do is, like you were talking about, I can up the rate or decrease the rate on the fly. That's the wonderful thing about this drone. So yes, I can do that for you.
So if I have some draws or some waterways or some spots that I have problems with weeds, for example, we can pre-map that out, and we can say, hey, let's put 100 pounds on this area, let's put 50 pounds on the rest, and that's something that's pretty easy for you to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we were talking earlier, so on my phone I've got an app where I just programmed your fields in here last night, and then I can take out areas that we don't want to apply, and I can with obstacles and that sort of thing. And so it's pretty neat that you can adjust it to about anything that you want to do.
So if I have a waterway, let's say that's seeded, that's a half an acre, you can go around that.
Absolutely.
So you're not wasting seed around that waterway.
Absolutely. I just put an obstacle in my program, and it autonomously flies up and around that. Most of this flying, Tom, is done autonomously. I punch in your maps and do all that ahead of time, and then we just fill it, and then it takes off and goes. And you'll see that later in the video.
So if I want to put on, let's say, crimson clover, berseem clover, or red clover or something, let's say next year in my beans, earlier in the season when my beans are still green or just starting to yellow, that's something you can do. That's just different settings on the drone, obviously,
Yes,
because it's smaller seed.
Yep, absolutely. I have applied some radishes, and I've done some turnips already as well, but with the different seed sizes, it makes it difficult. You can't really mix it all together. So what I've done is I had to fly the radishes on, then the turnips to get that cover. That's the only disadvantage of it, but DJI has come out with a new spinner disc that is more specifically for the smaller seeds.
Okay, all right. So basically, this is you can do anything type of drone for as far as cover crops or overseeding food plots or anything like that.
I hope so. No, it is. Obviously, this is our first year, and obviously, Tom, you and I had a lot of discussions prior to this about what the drone can do. But it is, in fact, you were probably the reason I got the drone, because we were talking about cover crops last year, and it was fascinating to me. And I was thinking, how do you get that cover crop on versus nothing more than an airplane of dropping it?
And the problem with an airplane is you're missing your corners, you're missing where there's trees.
Yeah.
So it's a lot less, I want to say, accurate.
Yeah, and absolutely, and that's what I will tell a lot of people. So I'm looking at your field right here. This full potential field is a 30-acre field, but that 30 acres, that goes to the road. So I probably won't be applying 30 acres today because your field isn't 30. That's the advantage we have over an airplane as well, is that it might charge a little bit more per acre, but you're actually seeding less acres because there is a lot more accuracy.
And I think it's more accurate.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's why I'm having Brian do this, is because in the past with my cover crops, I've always had to wait till after harvest. So whether it's beans or corn, I'm having to wait until mid-October, the end of October, early November to put my cover crops on, and then you're not getting germination in time. So last year I put in hairy vetch, I drilled it in, it only came up this high, and then it winter killed. So next year the goal is, if I'm putting in my legumes or in my beans, we're going to fly that on early. We're going to get earlier germination, that stuff won't winter kill, and that's the advantage of flying stuff on compared to waiting until after harvest.
Yep.
All right, let's get it. I've seen this in action already, so I'm kind of playing a little bit dumb here, but this is some pretty cool stuff. So I'll try and get some footage of what we're going here, and I think you guys will find it pretty interesting.
Okay, Tom, here's the full potential field that we're getting ready to fly on. We're going to put on 75 pounds of rye. You can see right here the material is cereal rye, 75 pounds. I'm going to use a spinner disc of 1,200 revolutions per minute. Flight speed is there. Route spacing, I'm going to change this down to about 15 feet. I like that better because I'd rather have overlap than anything, and I'm sure that you would as well. So we're going to be a 15-foot spice, and we can then adjust the height above the canopy as well. With it being windy today, I might drop this down to maybe fly about 15 feet over the canopy. And then we are ready to go. All I have to do is hit start. I can change the way that I'm going to fly. You can see the yellow right here. As we start making our paths through the field, these lines will turn green. You can see my little green spot. Whoops, I just changed that to the direction. I didn't want to do that. But you can see this little green spot right here. That's where we're flying. I have to change this back on my direction.
And that's your home, so it's going to come home every time there.
Yes, it comes home every time. So I'm changing the direction I want to fly this. And there we are. So we're just flying straight north and south here.
Perfect. So now the process is really just filling up this drone with winter rye and then swapping out batteries. The loud noise you heard in the background in the previous clip is a pretty big generator that Brian uses to charge the 3 batteries. So here's the drone coming back after its first flight. And I think it was doing maybe 1.5 acres with each pass. And then the drone just knows when it's empty. It comes back, hovers above his trailer, and he sets it down, and then it's just refilling up with winter rye and swapping out batteries. Oh, I guess it was making another turn. It was going back again there. Pretty cool stuff. You can see my corn is standing. And normally I'm having to wait to put my cover crops on. And for me as a deer hunter, and having production acres, the benefits of being able to put on cover crops, especially I think where the advantage is going to be is putting on legume cover crops earlier in the season, so that those legumes like clover or hairy vetch, for example, have a chance to germinate and grow, so they don't winter kill, so that they can fix some nitrogen for the following year's corn crop. So that's the advantage I see. And then as a deer hunter, obviously, if you're getting your covers put on early, there's going to be some forage for the deer. Where you don't get that when you drill this stuff on in mid to late October or early November. When you drill that stuff on so late, you barely get any germination, and you start getting some hard frost and you're done for the year. So that's the advantage of flying these covers on, is just earlier germination. So that's the process for the rest of the day. Is just swapping out batteries and filling that hopper back up. I think we did 60 acres. And this is probably the most cumbersome, is a big heavy seed like this, is this winter rye. It's probably the worst case scenario. And I think maybe it took 5 hours to do 60 acres. But a lot of that was Brian explaining to me how everything was working and stuff. So yeah, good stuff. Cool stuff. I hope you enjoyed the video.